channel if you're new. I'm Leonna. My service dog Aries is right here, and my service dog in training Athena is in my lap right here. She's falling asleep because we've had a long day. I'm probably gonna scoot her onto the ground pretty soon. But yeah. So I thought this would just kind of be a fun video. It's going to be a Q&A, kind of like FAQ kind of video. I've got a list of questions right here that I'm going to go off of. And I'm just going to kind of look over and answer and all that. Okay, so most common question is like, what's wrong with me? Why do I need a service dog? That kind of thing. So I will say first off, personally, and I know for a lot of other handlers, this isn't something that you should ask. Everybody you see, I know like I look like a perfectly able-bodied kid, but that's still like, it's kind of rude to ask. Just because like there's a lot behind it. But for me personally, Aries is a medical alert and response service dog, as well as he performs mobility tasks, so he's multi-purpose. And Athena will be learning some of the same tasks. She won't be big enough to perform a couple of mobility things, but I don't need them a ton. I need them very rarely. So I was okay with going with a smaller dog, but there was like reasoning behind that, and I'm definitely like not gonna get into that a ton. As like I've said in other videos, I do have POTS, which is one thing, and then I have asthma as another, but there is other things. But as I said, I'm not going to get into everything because that's personal information and it doesn't need to be all over the internet. So yeah, just kind of basically, he's multi-purpose. He does a couple of things. She will be when she starts learning, and yeah. Okay, so that leads me into question 2. What tasks do they perform? So it's actually like, what tasks does he perform is the question, but I'm saying they, because a lot of these were before I got Athena. But anyways, Aries does a couple of different things, and Athena's gonna learn most of the same things. He knows cardiac alerts and responses, heavy breathing alerts, or I guess I should say responses, but like light wheezing alerts, because I don't pick up on it all the time, or just even breathing changes. For asthma, he kind of knows mad retrieval is not something I need very often because most of the time my medicine is like right by me, but there's been like a few times where I've needed it. His problem is he doesn't like holding something in his mouth for like the metal in his mouth for like long periods of time because of the taste. But that, he knows counterbalance, guide, forward momentum, and he knows DPT, LPT, he knows fainting response, he knows finding, like, go find blank for certain people, get help. He only does that in closed environments, like my room, my house, that kind of stuff, where he can, like, if we're in my dorm room, he can leave my room and, like, go out into, like, the living area and get my boyfriend, or in my house, where he can leave my room and go get my grandma or grandpa or whoever's at the house and let them know something's up. And a couple other things that I'm not going to get into. Also, I have like some serious brain fog tonight, so I'm definitely not thinking of everything. And then, you know, some psychiatric tasks, but as I said, I'm not going to get into everything. How was he trained? Aries started off in board and train because I didn't have time to take care of a puppy with school, because high school was very different. And then came to me to finish his training. I taught him the majority of his tasks, and some basics because they weren't taught to him correctly. And then Athena is going to be completely and totally owner trained, and Belle was completely owner trained as well. How long have I had a service dog? So Belle is 9. Yeah, a little over 9 now. She turned 9 in November of 2019. She was my first service dog. So is Aries my first service dog? No, Belle was. Belle is not on this channel very often. There's a couple of videos here and there with her popping up. She currently lives with my grandparents because I cannot have her in my dorm. First off, she's retired. She's not covered under ADA or FHA or anything because she is not legally a service dog anymore. She does still toss for me, so she is technically like a at-home service dog, but she will not be doing any public access because she has started developing arthritis, which is now contained. It doesn't bother her. There is no problems. So every once in a while you may see her like at a store, but it's usually a 5-minute outing, and that's only because, as I said, she still tosses, and it's usually like a small place in my hometown that knows her and has said it is okay. I will not be taking her anywhere that's not familiar to her and that I haven't gotten like the all clear. Usually it's like to the pharmacy or something like that where I know the people and they've said it's okay. And then, or like to a pet store. And then Aries, who is being medically retired due to possible seizure activity. And now Athena. Okay, so how do I pick a service dog? Personally, I use the Bullhard temperament test. I haven't had any problems with it. So far, it's always given me a solid dog. The couple of times I did not use Bullhard and actually went with a different test or didn't fully complete the Bullhard due to outstanding circumstances, I did not get a good dog. Because they failed like legit, like I say failed, but they just had the wrong temperament on like one thing on Bullhard, and that just screws them up for a service dog temperament. But yeah, that's my personal thing, is what I use. Okay, so a breeder or rescue. I will always recommend a reputable breeder. Why? Because you know the health that's coming with your dog. I've had now 2 dogs that had to be medically retired, although Belle was retiring anyways due to age. She retired at 8 because of arthritis. She was a rescue dog. And then now Aries at 19 months due to seizures, and he is a rescue dog as well. There's too much of a shot in the dark with rescue dogs. You don't know for certain where they, like their background, their health, anything like that. You don't know their temperament's going to stick or if it's going to completely and totally change. You know nothing. Like, there is literally no background. Now, occasionally you will meet the mom and know what mom's like, but you have no idea what dad's like, most of the time. But with breeders, as I said, I will always recommend a reputable breeder. You know, out of the 2, like if you have the 4 options, I guess I should say, reputable breeder, backyard breeder, rescue, or like puppy mill, top 2 are going to be reputable breeder and rescue if you can't find a reputable breeder. And by that, I mean, like, I always say like 10 plus years in the industry, like doing breedings recommended by many people, health tests, titles on their dogs, all this kind of stuff. Don't go with a breeder. Like, go with a rescue dog. Like, most of the time your rescue dog will be in better health than a backyard bred or puppy mill dog. Anyways, resources used while training. So personally, I used a trainer with Belle, and Google, and then training books. I'll have to look up exactly which ones I used. I'll put them in the description box if I can find them, but as I said, that was 9 years ago. So I don't know exactly, like, I don't remember exactly which ones they were. But yeah, and YouTube is good too, for training and all that. But just with Google and YouTube, just remember, everything you see on the internet is not always true, and not always good. Always recommend getting a good trainer for your first dog. How do I get a service dog? You talk to your doctor. and decide if it's the right treatment plan and path for you. You don't just jump into this and just decide that you should do it. That's not how this works. You definitely need to talk to your doctor, and if you're still living with your parents need to know. Grandparents, whoever your guardians are, whoever is paying for stuff, you can't just talk to your doctor say yes, and turn around and go get a dog from a person down the street. Like, that doesn't work. So yeah, doctor, parents, if you're living with parents or guardians. If you're living by yourself, then, I mean, it's up to you and your doctor, but doctor. Then how do you start the process of getting a service dog? Talk to your doctor is the big thing. Decide it's the right treatment plan. From there, I highly suggest finding a trainer, like a good trainer. Go ask to sit in a class, that kind of stuff. Figure out if you like how they're teaching, because there's different methods. Personally, I prefer balanced training, but I know some people don't like certain tools and will prefer purely positive training, or like don't like the idea of that and want like only punishment, like purely punishment kind of thing. It's all up to you. There's 4 quadrants of training, and you pick what you like and find a trainer that will help you there, and then start doing research and finding a breeder. I highly suggest going to like AKC shows, that kind of stuff, and getting a breed list and like breeder list recommendations, doing research on what breed is going to fit you the best. For your first service dog, I highly recommend Fab 4. That's Labs, Goldens, Poodles, and rough or smooth collies. The other thing is you can always go with a shepherd. The only problem is I do not recommend shepherds for psych work or collies. Personally, I'd say go with the top 3 as far as psych work goes. And if you need mobility, then Danes are going to be a big thing depending on your size. But that's a whole nother video, and if you guys want that, let me know and I'll film it. So yeah, there's that. Why did I go with a Mal? So Aries is actually a Mal mix, but I had experience with the breed. I had originally planned on getting a shepherd, but I actually ended up falling in love with Aries. Aries was the perfect temperament. I had looked at a couple of shepherds and I hadn't found, like, I looked at a litter and I actually looked at a couple of rescue breeders, and literally none of them had the right temperament, and none of them like were bonding with me, I guess. Like, I didn't feel like a connection with any of them, and I was like, okay, like, they don't have the right temperament. I'm not feeling that good connection. I mean, I was like, okay, cute puppies, like, I know I'd grow to love you, but not the right temperament. So ended up looking some more, found him. I was a bit worried about getting a Mal, but I knew, like, I had experience with the breed and I felt confident handling them. So felt like it was worth it, and temperament tested him. He was perfect, and it all lined up to have my perfect little boy. Do I fear washing a dog? Yes, I do, a lot. Like with Aries, through his training, I don't know how many times I was like, he's gonna wash, like he's gonna be an awful service dog, he'll never make it. Same with Belle. It's just, I will say, like, Belle was a lot worse than him just because it was my first service dog, and everything that went wrong, I was like, this is the end of the world. Versus Aries, it was like when he had similar problems, I was like, oh, I know we'll get through this, but he did have other problems with his breed. And then Athena, I haven't really had that kind of problem. It's kind of been like, you know, when she makes a mistake, I'm like, okay, she's being a puppy. But I will keep you guys updated. You guys get to come along with that journey, of course, and see her grow up and become an amazing service dog. So yeah, do I have any advice? So a big thing is don't give up. Don't decide your dog is awful just because, like, they're not doing something perfectly right now. If you start feeling like you're getting frustrated, stop. Like, just take a step back, you know, go take a break, get like some water, a snack, that kind of thing. Watch a show, decompress, just relax. If you're frustrated, you need to end your training session immediately. Just because that frustration is going to show on your, like, going to wear off and show to your dog and come off on the dog. And I've literally seen people that have gotten so frustrated they've ended up practically taking it out on the dog without meaning to, where they'll do like a prong, like be working with prong and pop it just a little too hard and the dog whimpers. Stuff like that. You just, even like popping a martingale or a flat collar, you can still hurt them. Just anything like that. Like, just realize that you don't need to like compare yourself. Like, it's so easy to, like, when you see people on YouTube or Instagram or anything like that, it's so easy to compare yourself to them. But you have to remember, every dog is different, every trainer is different, every human is different, and there's no way that you can, like, everybody's perfect. Every dog is unique in their own way, and you can't decide that this one dog that's 6 months versus this other dog that's 6 months, you can't say they both should be at the exact same level, because you'll have one that's here and one that's here, or one that's all the way up here and one that's like still down here, that's not maturing as fast. And that just happens. It depends on the breed. It depends on knowledge. Like, somebody who, I mean, me, who's on their 3rd service dog and has been doing this for 9 years, versus somebody that has their 1st service dog. You know, I have experience. I'm going to know, like, what to do with the dog, and my dog will, you know, if she wants to, will grow faster than somebody who has their 1st service dog and doesn't know exactly what to do, when to do it, just because if the dog's willing to, then they'll grow really fast. Okay, so how do I know it's time for the first PA trip? That depends on the dog. I say they need to have basic obedience down solid. They need to be house trained, are my 2 big things. And I say they need to have their final round of vaccines and then wait a week after. So that's like their final parvo shot. Wait a week after that, so it has time to like build up immunity and all that kind of stuff. So that's like 5 to 6 months if I remember correctly. Just because those are like super important. And then I would only do short PA trips, and I'd stick to like pet friendly places. I wouldn't necessarily say a pet shop, just because dogs there are really unpredictable. But I mean, like TJ Maxx, Marshalls, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Joann's, Lowe's. Call your Home Depot and ask if they're pet friendly, because not all of them actually are, and some people decide they are when they're not. Places like that where you don't see many dogs but are pet friendly, and of course call like locations first to make sure that it's okay. And then obviously check your state laws, because service dogs in training do not have federal rights. When did I take them on their first PA? Aries was 10 months. It was, he was 10 months. It was a couple days after I got him, and we went to PetSmart. That was his first time in a vest with me, but he had solid basic obedience. He knew a couple of tasks and responses, and he was fully house trained. So I felt confident, and then we did literally like a 2-minute run into Target because I needed to meet my grandma, give her something, and then I ran back out to the car. And with Athena, she has not been to a store at all yet, but she does attend classes with me already. The only reason she does is because I've talked to my professors. They know what's going on and have said it's completely and totally fine. And she has most basic obedience down now. How do I deal with being told I don't need a service dog? So I guess I deal with that by just being like, well, you don't know me, you don't know what's going on. I do. I will say something that's common is I get a lot of people that are like, well, I've dealt with that and I don't, but like, you're not me, you don't know the severity, and you're not a medical professional, like, you're not my doctor, you don't know what's going on. I will be honest, if I'm having a bad day, I'm kind of in your face and will be like, okay, you need to shush, like, you don't know what's going on with me. I can kind of cock an attitude. But if it's a good day, then I usually just kind of walk off and ignore them. So how does campus housing work? So I met with my dean, like the dean of disabilities and disability services, got into their system, let them know what's going on, and they contacted my residence life. So that's like the people in charge of dorms and everything, let them know who I was and what was going on with Aries, like that I would be coming in with a service dog. And they just kind of were like, okay, cool. And that was the end of it. With Athena, I just talked to my RA because I had an outstanding relationship with her from my last semester, and just kind of talked to her and was like, hey, like, this is what's happening. Is this okay? And she was like, yeah, that's fine. Went ahead and put in an email to the head of my dorm and just let him know. And he was like, yeah, cool, whatever, as long as, you know, she doesn't bark. And that was the end of it, because in the state of Texas, it's illegal to deny access to either of them because of me. Do I support ESAs? Yes. I support the ethical and legal way of using ESAs. I do not support handlers that break the laws and decide that they have an ESA so they can take them out like to pet friendly places. But if you're doing the legal way and only using them in pet friendly places and housing and flights, that kind of thing, you follow all the laws, all the rules, went about it the right way, didn't go online and decide that your pet needed to be an ESA, all that kind of stuff, but went through your doctor, then I support it wholeheartedly. Like, they help you in their own way, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, they're amazing. Animals in general are, but I know like ESAs and just a pet are very different in the way that ESAs are for a disabled handler, why pets are for anybody. So my favorite place to go with him. So now this is them, but I really enjoy taking them down to a park that's near me and like around the pond and all that kind of stuff. I love it, like just walking them over there. They love it, just being out there in nature. We haven't been able to do that very often because of the weather. It's been very rainy and cold, and I'm not a fan of that. Like, I don't want to be out while it's raining and cold. Like, if it was snow, that would be a different story, but cold water it's not fun. And then you've got muddy paws, and it's just, yeah. This is more during spring and fall, kind of cool weather, and then summer when I can get them in a cooling coat and I can tolerate the heat, which is rare. But that, or like nature walks, that kind of stuff, are my favorite places with them. Okay. Do you train other service dogs for other people? I do, and I'm okay with it. So if I know you, then I will just do it, like, as in, like, if I have an outstanding relationship with you. I'm helping one of my friends train her service dog currently. And then I am working on something else, which I will announce later on once I've gotten everything put together and official. But yes, I will and am willing to train other service dogs for other people. Okay. Do I have any regrets with a service dog? I will say, like, I wish I had gone in knowing some extra stuff, so, yeah, I wish I had, like, gone in knowing more and being more educated, just because I did, like, learn some stuff along the way that I could have definitely learned had I done some extra research and learned some more stuff. And then I will be honest, one of my regrets is diving into Aries and going with a rescue dog over a reputable breeder. This isn't I regret Aries, because I don't. Like, I adore him, I love him, he is my baby. I could honestly not imagine life without him, but it's a case of, if I had gone with a reputable breeder that had health tested and everything, I know I wouldn't be having a dog that has seizures. As much as I'm, like, thankful for him and everything, and now I'm thankful for, like, Athena. Like, she's amazing. I couldn't have imagined finding a better dog. It's just, as I said, like, this is something that, like, the emotional turmoil wouldn't be something I would have had to go through or shouldn't have had. But that's, I guess I wouldn't say that's more of a regret. Like, that's just a I wish, although it's not. I don't even know what to call that. It's just a kind of, maybe a what if. I don't know. But anyways, how did I build a routine with a service dog? The same as you would with a pet. So I had one at my house. I wake up at a certain time, feed him breakfast, take him out, all that kind of stuff. If I don't, then I know that at least Athena is going to pee all over herself in the crate. I mean, she's crate trained, but I mean, after a certain point, her little puppy bladder isn't going to be able to hold it. So I know they have to go out at a certain time at night. They have to be fed at a certain time at night. I wake up, I take them outside, I feed them breakfast, and then I start getting ready for my day, why they eat and why they play to get like energy out before we go to class. From there, I, come back, let them have some off time to play because they need it. We go to classes again. I come back, they rest, they play, we do some training, then leave again for dinner, and then come back and they eat dinner, and yeah, just, it's kind of like, it's the same thing. The only difference is like what I do, but like breakfast and when they go to the bathroom and all that. Now, of course, like bathroom breaks will be kind of alternated and changed depending on when I have classes, because obviously if I class at 2, they can't go outside at 2. Figurative example. That doesn't mean my dogs pee at 2. But yeah. So how big is Aries? So I'm going to do this for all 3 dogs. Belle is 55 pounds-ish. She fluctuates between 53 and like 57. It depends on the day, if she just ate, all that kind of stuff. It used to be muscle weight, and now it's because she's a little chubby from being home with my grandparents and getting spoiled. But I mean, she's still in between fit and pet weight. Aries is somewhere between 70 and 75 pounds. I should say he fluctuates between like 69.6 and like 74. I think it's 0.7 are like his big fluctuation. But it just depends on, as I said, when he eats, how much he's eaten, and if we've done any muscle building exercises, because he does have a good amount of muscle on his butt, like his thighs and his shoulders. And then Athena is currently 40 pounds and still growing. I think when we weighed her right before we left, she was like 39.8, but she had just played outside with Aries and all that, and gone to the bathroom and all that kind of stuff. It had been a couple hours since she had ate and all that. So yeah, she's somewhere between like 39.5 and like 40.5. I mean, she's like 40 pounds. I don't remember exact heights. I think Aries is like 28 inches, I think. Not positive. Belle is like 25-ish, and I have no idea what Athena is. I haven't had the time to measure her, and she won't sit still long enough for me to. So yeah, I will get back to you guys on that. Probably put it in the description box if I can get exact measurements before this goes up. I know I won't be able to for Belle because I don't think I'm going home before this will upload. Okay, and when do I consider them fully trained? So for time kind of thing, because I don't know exactly what everybody meant. For times, I always say between 1.5 years to 2 years, depending on the dog. Some dogs, it'll be up to 3.5 years, 4 years. For Belle, it took a hot minute. I don't remember exactly how long, but it was a while before I felt comfortable. That was because I had no idea what I was doing with task work. For Aries, he got fully trained a lot faster. He was fully trained by 1 year. That was just because he was an extremely fast learner. and he legit knew, like, was solid on some tasks and all obedience by 10 months, and then all tasks and obedience and everything else by 11 months. And then I think at 12 months I was like, okay, like, there's not much this dog is improving on. And then while I taught him mobility tasks, I would mark in training again, just because he was learning new things, because I think what people forget is it's not that hard to, like, a dog can go back into training. Like, just because you said they're fully trained doesn't mean they are. Like, you know, a dog that's a year old and not learning mobility tasks can be fully trained, but when they're learning mobility tasks at a year and a half to 2 years old, depending on the task and vet clearance and all that kind of stuff, they could not be. For Athena, I don't know when she will be, but my always go-to is when they are completely solid on tasks. They do not have to be prompted at all, as in, like, there is no treat prompt, there is no bribery, there's nothing. They just do it when they need to do it and are perfect with that. They know their basic obedience, like, solid on it. There's no, like, constant corrections, all that kind of stuff. And they are house trained is a big thing. And then able to be under your control, of course. So yeah, like, those 4 things is what I always go off of. And then just age kind of depends on the dog. As I said, it can be as early, in my opinion, it can be early as early as like a year, all the way up to, I mean, 5 years old. Like, it depends. Although if your dog is still in training at 5 years, I would be a little concerned, because then you'll probably get like 3 years of like working life. And honestly, my big take on it is a dog is never fully trained, because they're always learning, just like we are, always evolving. Like, you're never done learning. Like, even until the day you die, you're always learning new stuff. And that's the same for them. Like, even Belle still learns new stuff. So it's just kind of like, whenever they perfect their tasks, obedience, obviously house trained, although they should be house trained before you take them out in public as a service dog in training, if you can, depending on your state, and under your control at all times. So yeah, and that's the end of the video. Sorry this got really long, really fast, but it was a lot of questions, and I know I babbled on a little bit. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any more questions and would like another one of these videos, leave them down below. Let me know, as well as any video requests you have at all whatsoever. Leave them in the, just like in the comments, and I will get on them, because I can definitely use any and all video requests. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and bye.